go. All right, guys. We'll just start a little bit early. Max and Max's models here. Everybody, welcome aboard. And we have Steve with us. Ken's on his way. He'll be here shortly.
He's
And
sailing.
yeah, he said he's coming. He said he's in the car coming home. So, well, first off, everybody, thanks for showing up tonight. I know we're starting a few minutes early, but uh, yeah, to address some of you guys' issues about that elevator music, it's YouTube safe. I got burned on the last couple of live streams. Just to give you a peek inside monetization, apparently the only things that make any money because they're linked to these live streams. Most of my videos are doing like 30 cents, or something like that. I mean, I'm serious. We're talking $1.62 a month. But then occasionally you see a month, it goes, oh, $20. And I go, oh. And then, I looked at it. Oh, it all came from the live streams. And I still have yet to receive a payout because I haven't hit $100 yet. But then it turns out most of my live streams are getting popped because of the music. And so there you have it. The ugly, it's just, and I'm not trying to make money off this. I thought, hey, if we make a few bucks, pay it for some paints and glues maybe, and it's been a fiasco, a fiasco. But anyway, again, maybe that is what it is. So Ken will be when he gets here. We'll start getting into the nitty gritty because he's the electronics, he's tech support. But you can see I have my little NX01 here all lit up. It's not perfect. I made plenty of mistakes, of which we're going to talk about in great detail in a little while. And I have tons of photos, and if you've seen the videos, you've seen most of the photos already. But this has been, putting it mildly, this has been a real learning experience. My soldering's getting pretty good. Buying some decent equipment helped. And so, I'm trying to read the comments here. So anyway, first things first. I don't want to get off on the model yet until the wiring and everything. But the beacons work. I will say one thing for Tenold, who made the kit that came with it. They actually do make some nice stuff. I mean, their stuff works. The problem you have is that they assume that you know what you're doing, and that can be a really big assumption where I'm concerned. The first thing was that they're mapping 100% of where stuff goes. There were a lot of issues with getting things to fit, and you might notice that one Brizard collector is dim and one's bright. We'll get into all that.
I'm amazed you're able to get all the wires in there
Dude,
and get
this
the
thing
whole
is
thing
pressed like a
closed.
pan. It was. In fact, there are some gaps because I couldn't get the booms to close all the way. Then we're gonna be talking about what happened there also. But like as you would expect, if I had another one of these to start from scratch, I would do things completely differently. First off, because this isn't electricity dependent, we don't need Ken's tech support for this. Excuse me, got a little, little tickle here. So, as I said in a couple of videos, the big deal about this is you can see it's the size of, the whole thing's the size of my hand. So it's not a big model. You're extremely tight for space. The only thing I ever worked on that was tighter than this was when I did the Enterprise incident, which comes with a dinky little Enterprise and two dinky little Klingon ships. But that uses fiber optics. And that's a somewhat different animal, although you still don't have much room to work with. But given the amount of lights and wiring that are supposed to go in here, there's something called an SMD, a surface mounted diode. It's basically a teeny tiny little LED on a little plate with two very thin wires. They're what make up what's inside the engine nacelles and the starboard side anti-collision light. They're what's tricky to work with. Now, the SMDs have wires on them that aren't much bigger than a couple of human hairs, and stripping them. I mean, you just no, you don't. There is no tool to strip them. One of the glue troopers told me just hit it with a match and then scrape off the charred part, and I found that was the best way to strip to get some available to you to get some exposed lead. But they are really delicate. I broke several of them, just give them a little tug. They came right out. They came apart. So uh, extreme delicacy is the order of the day, and uh, but you'll notice there's only one of them in the port engine and two of them the starboard engine, the starboard nacelle. There's supposed to be two on each side. Just today when I was working on this one, one of them it just came off in my hand. It snapped. I just gave it a little too much of a tug. You don't have much play with these things. So here is my first observation about, especially a kit this small, and especially using the SMDs. Observation number one: delicacy is key. Think of it about the same way you would think of rigging a biplane or something. It literally is just about that delicate. Uh, one, there's also supposed to be an SMD in this port nacelle Broussard collector. It broke, so I replaced it with a 3mm LED, which was one reason it is so much brighter than the other one. This, whoops, I also put an off-on switch in here. You'll notice how, let me see, get some, let me put it, there we go. Okay, get a dark background there. You'll notice that this one is much brighter. That's the LED. This is the SMD LED, which is much smaller. This is the way it's supposed to look, but that was, I mean, I had to work with what I had, and so that is why this one's much brighter. But you will notice, okay, it does have working strobe lights on top. I don't know if you can see those behind the bridge area, but we have two working strobes. Those are separate LEDs, and there's another one, another non-strobing LED in the sensor. I don't know if you can see it here, but there's another strobe right under here. And I don't know if it's showing very well. I can see it, but it's not very bright. You also have the two impulse drives right here. These are blue LEDs. I still have to put the clear parts over them. And, you know, you can see how difference in the Broussard collectors. And of course it has two LEDs in the sensor area. So, there's, obviously, as I said many times, that I had another one of these, I could do a much better job on the second go around, but than most of us usually can. There we go. I guess we could start off with the picture show that will, that's not what I need. Here we go. All right. Also, real quick, this is the refit. I did not use it, but apparently, if the show had continued on, they were going to refit it to look like this. But that's a pretty cool thing that Polar Lights offers you. I think that's a real nice touch for the kit. You can see the evolution towards the Enterprise we know from the TV show. And run some photos here. I pre-painted everything, and I think that's really important on something like this because you can mask off a lot of the areas, but I think if you pre-paint at least the base, here, okay. Oh, hold on, Ken's here. Let me let him in. Admit. So, good, gang's all here. Will be shortly. There comes this picture. I need audio. Hey, Fran. Hey, Ken. Give me a. Okay, I can hear you.
Hello, Steve.
Hi, Ken.
Okay, so we're talking about first thing is pre-paint the model on the outside. That way, if you do need to mask off an area before you add the details, you're not trying to mask off some of these dinky little lights and everything, which would be just about impossible. I did use a two-tone paint scheme, although you can hardly tell because half the colors in these things look so close to each other. But the thing was, is I got as much of it pre-painted as I could. There's that secondary hull, which I'm not using. I just popped it in position so you can see it. It's pretty cool. They do give you lights for it. So we'll start off here. Steve, this is your favorite part with all the spaghetti. And yes, I did manage to squish all that in there. Mistake number 2. Ken, I'd already covered mistake number 1, which was to tell everybody that delicacy is key, especially dealing with those little SMDs and those little hair-wide wires, which I broke a couple of. They're virtually impossible to strip and solder back together. The kit more or less gives you enough wire to do everything. But what you see here is a fully operational lighted network. The problem is I did all of it on a table to make sure everything worked.
I thought you were going to say what we have here is a failure to communicate.
What we have here is a failure to illuminate. Actually, I do have it working, but I thought that was too cute to let go. So,
Meanwhile, if you used thinner wire,
which was...
would that have made a difference in the spacing?
This is the wire that came with it. And now let me... Okay, since you brought that up, let's just build on that very theme. Okay. You don't really need thinner wire. What you need is to use less wire. I was taking measurements, not really realizing at the time that when I put everything in place, I wasn't going to need most of what I used. Okay.
So you decided to wire a car like the Germans do.
Okay, elaborate. Probably.
The German cars are, if one wire does it well, 10 wires does it 10 times better.
Not exactly. My wiring philosophy was I'd rather have too much than too little. If I need a 1/4 inch, 4 inches will leave me plenty of room to work with. And, I got it to work, but no. I say nay, nay. The mistake
Did you get all
was...
that inside the hull?
Huh?
Did you get all those wires inside the hull?
You see, Ken, you never watch my videos. If you knew that, you would already... Hold on.
Well, I could say
here-
something like, well, I have a life or something like that.
Yeah, but no, yeah, like anyone's going to believe that. No, you don't have a life, Ken. You have a boat. That's worse.
That's the difference. I
Ken,
have a boat, yes.
Look beside me.
Look beside me?
Yeah, right here. What I'm
Yeah,
pointing
Look
at.
beside you. Oh. Yeah? Is
It's
that
all lit up and closed and on the stand.
How'd you get it to rotate without ripping up the wires?
No, it's on a rotating base that my wife uses for showing her dolls.
Oh, you put a base. Okay, you put the base on it.
But it is on. I hollowed out. I got some hollow tube, some copper tubing, and I also put in an off-on switch. So there's the model all lit. I just put it on the little rotating display base, so it'll look wizard and cool and production value and all that stuff. Anyway,
Hey, the strobe lights even work.
they do. And now, getting back to the what we were talking about here with the oh, that's not the picture I wanted. Here we go. I'm sorry. Here we go. All right. Getting back to the wiring. All right. My mistake was, you guys, if you saw the videos, you saw where I had the wires all laid out on the wooden base so I could make sure everything worked. And I was taking measurements, but one of the things I failed to take into account was the length of the stems on the LEDs. Okay. So when I got it on the model, I had way too much wire. So here is suggestion number 1. If you're going to do something like this, I talked about this briefly. What are you laughing at? What are you snickering at?
Pluggo says, Ken at the Marina. Should be a movie.
They made it. It's called Captain Ron.
Which got me interested in sailing.
That is what got... Watching that Kurt Russell movie is what got Ken interested in sailing.
It is. It is.
No, it's true. That's why I'm saying. Anyway, so...
One thing you could do, Max, in the future projects is use magnet wire.
These are plastic.
You don't understand.
I
Magnet
don't.
wire.
See, this is
Magnet
why we have
wire
this is why we have tech support.
Magnet wire is like 30 gauge. It's very, very small, but it has like enamel for the insulation instead of rubber.
Mm-hmm.
So the wire is much, much thinner.
Okay. I actually had some of that. We'll get there.
The crowd says it looks like Radio Shack exploded.
It does. It really does. Now, well, that brings us to the point. Mistake number. I mean, God, this kit made me miss Radio Shack. Fortunately, I got a buttload of LEDs and resistors and some other lighting kits that were sent to me. But I was actually able to use everything from the kit. Now, here's what I would recommend. Rule number 1, delicacy. Rule number 2, glue your lights in place in advance. I had talked about in one of the videos about should I try to solder them while they're in the kit or pre-build the wiring harness and putting in. I pre-did the wiring harness, taking measurements that turned out to be way too generous, and wound up having to stuff all of this into the kit. And of course, you got to get all your clear parts and everything in advance. But I was able to get everything in there, but I had to clamp everything in place to hold it. And one of the biggest problems I had was getting everything to stay in place while I was trying to glue it together. Okay? So, my advice is, and I guess a little extra piece of plastic and some CA glue would be the thing to use, get your lights in place first. Okay? You are going to have to solder these things while they're in the model, but I wound up doing that anyway. It isn't actually that hard to solder the wires to these things with them in situ without hurting the kit. The only thing I burned was my thumb.
But you melted 3 kits.
No one found that funny. Okay, I'm sorry. Wow, no, I really did. I burned my thumb just a little bit. But I don't think I did that with the soldering iron. I did that with the match when I was burning off the insulation off those little SMD wires. Now, Ken, I'm going to hand it over to you for a second. The SMD wires are the really skinny little wires, and those dinky little red lights, those are the SMDs. Would you please elaborate on what an SMD is?
Stands for surface mount device.
Okay.
Or surface mounted device. Basically what it is it's designed to solder onto the surface of a PC board. In the old days, you had leads that come off that went through the board and you soldered them from the other side. SMDs don't work like that. They got rid of the wires and now they just solder the ends directly onto the soldering board, onto the PC board.
And this is why I have to have so much cough medicine. Anyway, so these SMDs on this are extremely small. They're made for things like the position lights, which have no room. So, but they're, again, very small, but also they go up against a clear part, so they're supposed to make the green and red port and starboard lights and a few other things, like they also make up the engine nacelles. Now, the good news is the wires are tiny, the SMDs are small, so they fit without too much trouble. But, because there's always a but, they are really freaking delicate. You can tear a wire off. Surprise, they're hard to strip, and you can break them real easily. Oh, trust me, I know. So, if you're going to do something like this, my recommendation is glue the lights, find a way to mount the lights before you start soldering and running wire and everything. At a minimum, tape them down, run the wire. It turns out I didn't need some of these extensions. Now, you know what? We'll get to the whole ground wire issue later. All of this runs off one common ground, which is where I made a real pig's breakfast out of this. But we'll get there.
A pig's breakfast?
It's a British phrase to make a mess out
Or
of something.
slop.
Yeah,
So
I got that, but I've never heard that phrase before.
I picked it up from watching Yes Minister, Yes Prime Minister, British comedy. Probably the best British comedy ever made, except for maybe for Monty Python.
I gotta turn the light on. It's getting dark in here.
Okay. Oh, we can see you fine. Whoa!
No, you've never seen Absolutely Fabulous.
Mm. When Sir Humphrey is talking about how the EEC, which became the European Union, was the perfect way for Britain to screw Europe. He's talking about, we tried to destroy it from the outside, but we couldn't, so we had to join it. And now we can set the Germans against the French against the Italians against the Dutch. Make a whole pig's breakfast out of the whole thing. Oh, the Foreign Office is happy. It's just like old times. Anyway, enough of that. So, if you guys have never seen the British sitcom Yes Minister, followed by the follow-on series Yes Prime Minister, my wife spent 19 years in government, and she could tell you point blank, and including people who worked in British government helped him write it. It's not only incredibly funny, it's also incredibly accurate. Okay, so here's the wiring harness. Now you will notice the black wire is the ground, and you will notice there is one ground that goes to everything. And here it's all in diagram form, which shows it all nice and simple and easy. This is the easiest part to screw up. There should be a key on here to tell you which resistor is R5, R4, R3, which one goes where. Okay? They have all the LEDs listed at the bottom. There is a key, Ken. I found it. It's on the bottom of page 7 of the diagram of the ship, where it has no business. It should be right here.
Yep, agreed.
I read these instructions, really read them 3 times before I soldered the first piece. Okay? And that's the only reason any of this is working. But, and it's not as bad as it looks. And to their credit, the circuit board and Tenold and everything actually did make a good quality product. I have no complaints with the quality of their product. It's the quality of their instructions. And again, they assume you know what you're doing. And as Ken and Steve can both tell you, very dangerous assumption to make where I'm concerned. One thing I did is, as I did each LED and each resistor, I would mark it off so I didn't repeat it. And unfortunately, it's a lot of textual. LED 2, and you have to be careful, because one way I screwed things up was LEDs, LED 2, it looks like a 2 to 3 millimeter. What they're saying is that number 1 has, oops, what the heck happened here?
Okay, Max, I think you're getting a little bit too much into the details.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
The crap just went to sleep.
Okay.
Which might be a good thing.
It's the easiest way to get through these things. So yeah, you're right. You got to pay real close attention to the details. Now, this is one of the small LEDs that is used for the light, the position lights, the nav lights, port and starboard. It's supposed to be green on the other side, but I lost the green one somehow. Now, this would, you see I've got it clamped, and I tried gluing it down, and I ran out of shrink tube, so I wound up using tape to insulate everything. You have got to insulate your light. Well, don't give me that look, Ken. That I know everything because I'm an electrician. You know nothing because you're a rube.
No. I'm just looking at this incredibly neat job and very impressed at how it all just looks perfect.
Okay, no, that's just go ahead and give me the insult, because that I can't deal with that. Had I glued this in place before I attached it, you see all the extra wire that's there? That's going to get in the way. And yes, this is the wire that comes with it. First thing, one thing you will need that's not in the kit is you're going to need more shrink tubing. Okay, I ran out, which is why I wound up using tape. But it worked. Remember, Ken, what's the rule?
Godzilla fell asleep 5 minutes ago.
Hey, I wasn't even the first one to say Godzilla. We're 21 minutes in. Okay, so
like I told you the other day, it looks like the 747 doesn't have that much wire in it.
yeah, Now, this little long and short clear piece is the actual part that goes into the plastic through the holes that makes up the position lights on the sides of the saucer section. Very, you can see how small it is. But if you get the light right on top of it, it will flicker green and red, accordingly. So it does work. They're just not, they just don't stand out that much. In a normally lit room, you won't notice them. Turn the lights off, you can see it. They're very dim. But then again, they're just position lights. So I had to de-spaghettify everything. All right. So I had to get all the lights and all the wires straightened out and untangled, and I'd made an unholy mess out of it. And the reason I made an unholy mess out of it, as much as anything, was when I ran.
Now we're getting to the good part.
This is I ran the grounding wire to everything, but I realized that the wire was too thick to make what you see in the diagram. Let's just say most of the wires you're looking at are the ground. So it was a real nightmare to get that because the wire was too thick and everything else. But this also because you see I've got everything stretched out. Had I done this in the model before I put the wiring harness together, this would have run a lot easier and I wouldn't have needed a lot of that extra wire.
The problem with that is, you can do that, and it's not a bad idea, but one of the problems I see with that is that if you're not careful, you can end up melting the model, soldering the wires out.
That's why I was just saying I learned to be very careful about that. One of the things you can do is get a piece of ceramic or something, a tile, anything that won't conduct heat, well, wood or anything else, and just have it to slide under the wire between the plastic and the wire and use the magic hands, the helping hands, solder it, you let it cool, put the shrink tube on it, not a problem. Yes, a moment's carelessness is all it'll take to do battle damage to your model, but it'll in the end it'll be a lot easier to get the thing to go together, especially if you glue the wires down, because of what happened later. I'll talk about in a bit. So,
you ever think about using hot glue to put the wires in place?
You could probably do that. You know what? Actually, Ken, I didn't think about that. I have a hot glue gun. That probably would have worked better than anything else. Well,
just a little dab of hot glue.
Yeah, because I kept waiting for the freaking CA glue to dry, and then it would get plucked off. So it's not a bad idea. So anyway,
occasionally I come up with a good one.
But eventually, I did get it de-spaghettified, got everything in place, and I was able to squish down the parts. This is where disaster struck. Hold on. Okay.
Frank says you need a spaghetti straightener.
Hold on, this thing's... Let me get this straightened out here. Okay. Hold it. Stop doing... Oh, you know what? It helps if I actually highlight the thing that I'm on. The controls here. Hold on, let me back up here. Okay, so, whoa, big fella.
Did you go to Hurricane Hobbies to get the tube?
No, I actually had some that I had bought at Hurricane Hobbies for or someplace for the simulator, C-57D simulator. Okay, so. Okay, first thing, drilled out a hole where the stand goes in so I could run the wires through it. This is all no-brainer stuff. Drilled out a hole in the top of the adapter, and that's the rubber mate, which is on it right now. And had cut the tube in my little miter box, spent about an hour looking for the miter box, and only to realize it was here in my office. And then got everything fitted, ran the wire through it, so hooray for me.
Max will never be a mad bomber.
No, not yeah, definitely not on my to-do list. So once I got that done, oh, by the way, I wasn't going to tell you about this, but since I have no problem with self-humiliation, I was putting the switch in it today, and I soldered on the positive lead on my little snap push button switch. That cost me like $1.99 at Hurricane Hobbies. And then like a total moron, I put on the negative lead on the other side. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is an interrupter switch. It goes inside the positive wire. I was so used to doing a positive and a negative. I did that. And on your switch, you want positive and positive. Like, good move, slick. And to think I used to fly jets. Operative word, used to.
We should have to solder anything on them.
Well, I kind of did as a backup and wound up melting the switch, which is why I have this big flick switch. That's my second one. Thanks, kid. You made me rat. Thanks, Ken. You made me rat myself out. Anyway, so
Well, they going
here,
to fire you?
yeah. So here is everything in place with the all the wires and everything almost ready to close the top of the, put the top on it. And right now everything looks like it's fitting without too much trouble. I'm not expecting any problems, but the wires really aren't secured. I got a lot more in there than I should have. Like I say, had I, like as Ken mentioned, hot glued the LEDs in place in advance, maybe found a way to secure the circuit board and just run the wires that are on the circuit board straight out to them, I wouldn't have needed half of this. Most of what you're looking at here, the gray wire, the bulk of it is the ground. Now this is what comes to the kit, but I agree with you, Ken. It is definitely thicker than you need. But had I not done it the way I did it, I probably could have run the grounds a lot closer to each other. What? You're snickering.
Tom Fox said, about 2 more glasses of cough medicine and Max will put LEDs on the VW Snap bus.
Got the one with Godzilla right here, by golly.
Godzilla.
Oh, you said it 20 minutes ago.
I was saying because somebody else said it.
Good. You said it. So anyway.
It looks like something Honey would hock up.
What?
It looks like something Honey would hock up.
Oh, trust me, she can do a lot worse than that. Oh, dear God.
This looks like the snake scene in Raiders from the Lost Ark.
Yeah, it kind of felt like that.
Oh, I hate snakes.
I hate snakes, yeah. So, you will see that now, one of the things, it had to use all this tape to make sure that the wires didn't touch each other and ground out. Now,
okay. One quick point here.
Yeah.
This is important. Raymond is asking, can you be electrocuted building such a kit? No, because the voltage is very low.
If you say
Unless
so.
you stick your tongue on the end of the 9-volt battery, you're not going to electrocute yourself.
I did that just to make sure it was still hot.
Yes.
But stick your tongue on the end of the 9-volt battery. It'll give you a little twinge.
Yeah, that's what I did to make sure they were stuck. That's since I was 8 years old. That's been my test for a 9-volt.
Yep.
That's how. Anyway, so
Same here. Flames a lot, doesn't it?
There's nothing really happens when you do that. So anywho, now the picture you're looking at now, everything was working. Okay? Everything was in place. So of course I'm feeling
together.
What?
And then you tried to put it together.
I was feeling cocky because all I have to do is put the top on it now.
Bill Paul says this looks like the sequel to Snakes on a Plane.
Snakes on a starship, baby. And at this point, I figure, at this lick, man, I am doing so good, and I'm just kind of like, wah, wah. So here's some of the plastic I had to cut out to make room. You will have to remove some styrene to make room for some of these lights. And it's right on top of the bottom of that clear part I showed you earlier, because there's a part on top and a part on bottom. What?
Garfield says, rename the ship the USS Medusa.
Don't laugh, I just might do that.
Ooh, Lance says needs a couple of small laser diodes to simulate phasers.
It actually has something like that for photons, but that's another story. So.
Does it shoot photons every once in a while?
No. I do, but my wife makes me leave the room. So at this point, I'm thinking everything's looking good, but you have to put these side parts on. Now you may notice, the photo, those filler sections are not on the saucer section yet. But when I started putting them in and had to cut them out, I realized, oh crap, when you start cutting out what you have to cut out, these things get, because you see how small they are. That's my freaking forefinger there. These things are tiny to work with. And one thing I recommend is that you cut out the part that goes along the edge first, and then cut out the 2 slashes so it'll drop. I snipped off the 2 slashes, and the thing was so wobbly that it almost broke it. It's really delicate work. You might want to melt it out or whatever. I didn't think about it at the time. That would probably worked a lot easier. Anyway, so this is just showing you how delicate
Tom
some
Fox
of this work
says,
is.
Tom Fox says, Captain, she cannot take some more wire in.
I tell you what, he ain't wrong.
Herman says, resistance is futile.
Yeah. There were a couple of good one-liners. Wiring it was as a resistance. I forget what it was off it. There were some pretty cute comments about that. Now here it is, just before I tried to put the top on it. Okay, everything's like, yeah, baby, I got this under control. Daddy's going to. You see, here it is, all wired up. You see the wires going down the pylons. All the lights are working. Everything is hunky-dory, which, by the way, guys, is a nautical term. A dory was a small boat, and when it was hunky, that meant it was ready to be used. So it is not honky-dory, it's hunky-dory. So now you've been educated whether you liked it or not.
Better get it right next time.
What?
They better get it right next time.
Yeah, well, and then...
Wait a minute, Steve's got something to say.
Best advice, do not light this kit.
Oh, now you will notice I'm holding one of the nacelles in my hand.
And Sluggo says, damn, this is exciting.
And then this happened. That wire sticking out of the bottom, that red wire on those wires you see loose, a minute before this were attached.
Oh, this gets better and better.
It was that easy. Trying to put the top on, the top of my hand just pushed against it. Off she snapped, and snap goes the wires. Oh, I was in such a good mood. There is now a blue cloud of dark language hovering over the TARDIS.
Could have used that to glue it back on.
Well, if you look down at the bottom center, you will see a red wire coming out of the saucer section.
Yeah.
Before this fiasco, it had been gone out the boom and up the nacelle. That is the wire that goes to the little micro SMD that was in the Broussard collector.
Let me ask you something, Max.
Uh-huh.
You've done this a number of times, and you still haven't figured out not to do this.
Do what?
Break something off with your fat fingers.
Ken, you expect too much of me. The worst part was trying to get that wire, because now the model wouldn't come apart. I'd used just a touch of glue, but it's such a tight snap fit that everything was in, nothing would come out. I was afraid if I opened it up, all the wires would jump out like angry cobras. So I had to find some. Yeah.
They tend to do that.
And I was like, I am not cracking this saucer section open again. We go from here. So I cracked the motor open and started.
Skip to the chase, Max.
Huh?
Skip to the chase.
I cracked the motor open and started rewiring stuff and stuffing the wires back in with little metal wires. Just, in you go, down some, down. And just wedging them back in place by brute force. I did open the nacelle, and I did, finally, I wound up just soldering on more wire, wedging, heavier gauge, wedging those in there, and voila. Now, yeah, a lot of work. You guys can figure it out. A real nightmare. But that is one reason that since I had broken that SMD, I replaced it with a 3mm LED, which is why I have a really nice Broussard collector on this side. And a very dim one on this side. And ironically, this is the one that comes with the kit. I much prefer the bright one. If I wasn't so much work, I'd go stick an LED on that side. And while we're on that, Ken, you can explain the logic behind this. I thought to myself, I said, Max, you should think about this, which is always a dangerous thing for Max to say. When I start talking about thinking about things, you probably should get your helmet off the shelf. Because I figured, you know what? That little red wire that goes to this is broken. But I still have the wires to the blue LEDs, which are SMDs, the dinky little ones. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to make this simple. I soldered the 3mm LED to the same leads as the little dinky SMDs. And when I flipped it on, all the SMDs went out. But the LED came on. Because apparently it stole all their power.
Maybe it's just making a right turn in space.
I realized, and I actually thought what we can say, and what I realized was these little blue SMDs don't take much current, much power. Okay? When I put a 3mm LED on the same circuit, if you remember Daniel Day-Lewis and There Will Be Blood, when he talks about the milkshake and, and I drink the oil from your side like a milkshake. You remember that? Did you ever see that movie?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, Ken, you've missed a great movie. Anyway, he's telling this guy he's been stealing his oil by slant drilling. And he goes, you have a milkshake, and I have a milkshake, and I have a straw that goes all the way into your milkshake, and I drink your milkshake. It's a great scene. You have to see it. Anyway, what I realized was that 3mm LED was slurping up all the juice because this is a different resistor for these two. Okay? What?
Oh, now he understands electronics.
Frank Field says, but if a taillight blows in his Mustang, he's stumped.
No, not taillight blows in my Mustang. I do what every good airline pilot does. I take it to a mechanic and have him fix it.
Ray Watts says, let's get Max to play with a flyback transformer.
And Bill Campbell says, now you know why I don't like my models.
First off, what's a flyback transformer?
And the old tube TVs,
Oh.
it's the transformer that put out the really high voltage that made the CRT work.
Oh, okay. I have been told that on old tube TVs, even if they were unplugged, they stored enough juice to fry the crap out of you if you arced them.
Not the tube, the capacitors would.
But the point is, there was enough juice in the system that if you touch the wrong thing, you got an afro and a numb tongue.
Possibly, yep.
Okay. But anyway, so I realized I could not put the red LED on the same circuit as the little dinky SMDs. It just couldn't carry the load. So I wired it up on the original circuit with heavier gauge wire, and now it works.
You're crazy said, we're all safe. Max will never build a time machine.
You don't know that. I might have just built one on accident.
And the crowd says, Florida man wiring.
Woohoo!
Okay.
So, but it. Whoops.
And Apparent Idea says, I love Max as if he were the older brother I never had. He's a master class in what not to do in the world of styrene. Thank you, Max. You will always have my love and admiration.
Well, you're welcome. I just want to give everybody a good look at the strobes. So.
Do you use that when you have to go to the bathroom at night?
Oh, great! You said it. Now I got to do it. What?
That's his nightlight.
Actually, Monica was real happy with it. You will notice that there's 2 blues on this nacelle and 1 on that one because I snapped that one off completely and didn't have one to replace it with. And I actually did get a blue 3mm LED to put in there to replace it, but it wouldn't fit. There's no room in here, and the LED was too big. The nacelle wouldn't close. So I just figured what the heck.
Tom Fox says, jiggle the flux capacitor.
I did that already. But anyway, I'm considering this 90% successful. I'm just happy that everything lit up. Tomorrow I'll probably put the last little bits and bobs on it, I'm not saying I want to do another one of these, but if I was to do it, absolutely I would make sure all of the lights were glued firmly in place. as much of the model was built as possible before I wired it.
So
The-
all you troopers out there, take a screenshot of it tonight before he takes it apart tomorrow.
Oh no, no! All I'm going to do is glue on the outside parts, put the decals, and put it on the shelf. It's not. I'm not cracking the. And if these lights die out, the only thing I'll be changing is that battery. If
Those lights will last you many, many years.
Yeah. Long time.
But I'm going to put battle damage on it. Just to. I might put the alternate universe decals on it and battle damage it. But you're absolutely right that this is extremely tight and there's too much wiring to go on that. But had I done it the way I'm talking about, put hot glued the lights in place first, and then would have needed a lot less wiring. The trick is the ground wire, because it's got to go to everything. Every one of those LEDs has got to have a common ground, and that's where you start running a lot of wire, and that wire is what they give you to do it with. And I'm like, maybe buy some thinner gauge wire or something.
Magnet wire.
Yeah, like you're talking about magnet wire, if it can carry the load. Of course, it's
You're dealing with milliamps here.
yeah. But hey, ta-da!
It just looks like it's always wanting to turn left.
Which ironically it is rotating to the left. But as I look at it, part of me goes, I did that. And another part of me goes, I did that.
Garfield says, Max will now demonstrate how to wire the navigation lights on the Airbus A320.
Off, on. Actually,
the Airbus A320. What'd you ever do with those pictures of the cockpit we gave you?
oh, they're, I don't, they are covering one of the windows above the air. They're covering the window. I put all three of them side by side over the air conditioner, so they both block there over the wall, window, wall, but they're all side by side like the cockpit, and they work as both a light block and a decoration. And when the sun's up,
Did you get them stretched over a frame?
no, I just pinned them by the corners.
Oh.
And clamped them where there was over the air conditioner. That's all temporary. I'll get something better later.
Can you figure out what the configuration of the switches and everything are set up for?
Yeah, what do I care?
Those days are over, Ken. He hung up the headphones and the captain's
I would be curious.
If I got an A320 right now, I probably couldn't. I mean, the first thing I'd reach for is the checklist. I was only on the airplane a year and a half, so I didn't get my flows down like I did on the 190, and I couldn't tell you jack diddly about that. You remember, as I get older, I have to dump old information to make room for new information. The hard drive's full, and
So now how do you know where to go home then?
that's why I have my car has navigation.
Oh, okay.
Literally, I track my car up. The first thing it says is my address, and I was like, I don't need that, but I'll leave it there just in case.
The crowd says, "Listen to Ken. Ken is wise."
What the hell does he know?
He knows a lot.
Okay, Obi-Wan.
And Edward Bender says, Max needs a Heisenberg compensator.
So if Ron Howard was to play a Jedi, would he be Obi-Wan?
And Slego says, Ken's at one with the sea, the dolphin whisperer.
I have run out of cough medicine too soon.
Demir Crazy says, Max is ready to light the Close Encounters mothership.
I actually saw that. It's at the Udvar-Hazy facility.
Yeah, we saw that when we were at
Yeah, and it's
Udvar-Hazy.
not as big as you would think for a Hollywood model. And it also looks like crap up close. I mean, it was shot in the dark with a lot of lights. When you actually look at it, it's basically a bunch of copper tubing soldered together. You're like, oh, heck, I can make something better than that.
Looks like a chandelier.
It does. An old rusty one. But, damn, it looked good on screen. Ba, 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 ba. I knew I was going to like that movie when it begins on going in the desert and finding 5 Avengers, And the guy hits the battery and the mag. She fires up like, oh.
If only. If only.
You know that ship in the desert, the Capaxi? You remember Close Encounters of the Third Kind? when the
What about-
helicopters are flying over the sand dune and they wind up hovering over this like Liberty ship or Victory ship that's out in the middle of the desert. It says Copaxi on the bow.
Mhm.
No, I don't remember that. But go ahead.
Well, it's one of the better scenes. That was a real helicopter. That was about a 10-foot model. It was all forced perspective. But what ruins Close Encounters for me is they found the Copaxi about 2 years ago here off the coast of Florida.
Nowhere near where they thought it
Yeah,
would be.
it went down in the storm. It was pretty crappily maintained, as happens. But
Huda Killa says the Enterprise was just practice for Max when he finds a Godzilla with clear spines that he can light them blue.
well, they have those. I got one right here. The one you remember that one, right?
Yeah.
So I can get it down without knocking everything over. I got up here.
Oh, there's going to be a waterfall here in a minute.
Oh,
And it'll hit the Enterprise.
oh,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Steve,
Yeah.
please.
Perhaps you shouldn't get it down. Oh, you did. Okay.
well, the thing is, it has to be plugged into a USB, and I don't know where I put the cable. It's in.
Oh, so now Godzilla is powered by USB?
Oh, I added all these little tiny tanks to it that were given 3D printed tanks, so that's what keeps falling off. But this all lights up and everything. Ugh.
JM says, light you long time.
We all know what that means. Right next to the little Godzilla Mustang.
Anybody interested in hearing a boat story today?
Oh,
Sure.
I wondered how long. Okay, it is 48 minutes in, and Ken's telling about
I might wake a few people up.
Yeah. I have to go refill my cough medicine. I ran out, including the reload, so I'll be back in just a second. You have it, Ken.
All right.
Enjoy. Talk about me behind the back.
I wonder if he goes to AA meetings when he leaves and says he's getting
American
more
Airlines?
cough syrup.
What happened to his camera? It went black.
I closed it so you don't see it, otherwise be blinded by the hallway light when I open the door.
Okay. Whatever. Anyway, so, boat story. Never did find my phone. Still out there with the fishes. But I've been having this fun problem with the starter for months now. And finally it came down to I talked to my brother, who's a mechanic. He says, I think you need to get the starter rebuilt. Lovely. So, pulled the old starter out. Fortunately, the previous owner had left another spare starter on the boat. So I put that in, and it started up, and it started beeping, and then it stopped. The whole panel went dead. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. After all that work getting that stupid thing in. So I took the panel apart, and I discovered that there was a corroded contact on a wire to the starter switch. Because I would bump it, and there's a little buzzer that goes off because there's no oil pressure. And it was coming on and it was going off, and I kept bumping this wire, and I figured it out. So I untightened it and tightened it back down, that sucker tight, put it all back together, and pushed the button, and yay! It starts! Yay!
Does it stay running?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it even stays running. It's great. So I got that done, and that was fun.
Bill Campbell says, Ken, blow harder against the sails. It'll start real good.
Or I could just get a fan, put it out there, and
That's
blow.
right. You know,
Yeah, salt water has no effect on metal connections. Yeah, small victories. Yeah, you're right about that. So finally got the starting system.
so
Stable.
you really don't know if it was the starter then.
Oh yeah, it was the starter, because when I pushed the button before to start the engine, sometimes it would engage and then it would slip out and it go, the engine would start. And then there's some other times you push the button and it would just go, it wouldn't even try and engage at all. So my brother said that's the gear that engages with the flywheel there's a ratchet in there so that when the engine starts up and it's still got the gear out there, it spins instead of
Engaging.
pushing the starter around.
Hmm.
So apparently that mechanism has gone bad inside there. So I got to take it to some place and have it rebuilt.
Lance Ravel wants to know, so now can Max build a radio from coconuts and seashells?
Rowboat need to motors. The starter is the gut who pushes the rowboat into the water. Sure. I think there's some might be some spelling correction going on there. Just push it and pop the clutch.
The clutch.
All right, I'm back. Your opportunity to mock me in my absence is coming to a close. I've refreshed
Yes,
my
it's a
coffee,
starter
so-
Bendix. Yes, exactly, Nathan. You're correct.
Okie
I
dokie,
gotta
3,
take
2,
it,
1. Camera.
place.
So are you telling a boat story, Ken?
He did.
I
Let
did.
me guess, his starter.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Guess who had to hear that?
Yeah, well, it works now. It starts up, and I'm very happy. I'm very pleased that I was able to diagnose all these problems today and get it all fixed.
We expect no less from you, Ken.
You need
Fine.
a Ken's Boat channel.
Actually, we're going to be
On
doing.
YouTube.
I got the model right here. I'm going to building a boat on his boat at some point, and we might do the live stream from there. If you did you get Starlink or do you have a Wi-Fi or something or?
You can use my my phone as a hotspot.
Okay. Whatever. I proudly brag about the lowest production values on the internet, so there's no reason to change policy there.
You could go to a new level.
Yeah, there you go.
Only normally people think that means you're on the upswing, not the downtick.
Right.
But hey,
Right.
we are here to defy expectations. I mean, I got this to light up.
Miracles never cease.
Mm.
There's
You-
proof incarnate that even a blind squirrel can make a nut light up.
Or a nut can make lights light up.
Oh God, I am so not touching that one. So I'll tell you what, though, I'm almost a little ashamed to say that I actually have a sense of pride about this. I mean,
Yeah, I'd be
this
ashamed
was not
too.
easy to make work. This is demanding. I've lit up bigger kits. Bigger kits, a full size Enterprise, they're a lot easier because you got all kinds of room. This was complex. You had tight space restrictions, very tight wires. I mean, this was advanced. And if I had another one with another lighting kit, I could probably get it perfect. Okay. One thing I recommend if you're going to do these, you might want to buy a few spare lights though, because they break real easy. Some of them. But
The
I
crowd says-
actually think I could do better than the lighting kit that comes with it.
The crowd says plastic after dark.
Plastic after dark. I don't want to hear about his private life.
So Lance Ravel asks,
Come on, that was good.
Lance Ravel asks Sluggo, so who's Marianne? And Sluggo comes back and goes, Sarah Jane.
What's that? What? You missed me. What?
I said, Lance says Sluggo, who is Marianne?
Sarah Jane.
And he says, Sarah Jane.
Okay. And Sarah Jane has to say about this?
Well, she's not on, so he could say it.
Oh, pick on the girl when she's not here. What is this? 8th grade again?
Or Natasha.
Actually, it kind of is.
Or Natasha. We could have Natasha as Ginger.
Bill Paul says, Ken, after listening to Max for the last hour, are you sure you want him touching anything electrical on your boat?
Hey, I'm getting better.
And Frank says, 54 minutes and we're still on the same subject.
I made it a point that I would try to stay on subject for the first hour.
But that's boring.
I actually have a subject for the rest of the show. I downloaded the pictures, I think, but I don't know where. Okay. Well, then let's go ahead. If we're done, if we've gotten all of our mockery, we've run the mockery well dry on this one. No, oh, you want to keep going? Okay, because I have another subject, but it's
No, no, let us progress.
okay. I was, as you guys may or may not know, I'm from a little town west of Tallahassee called Quincy, which has a, when I grew up, it had a population of almost 10,000. Now it's about 7,500. Anyway, our big, back in the late 60s, early 70s, our big adventure was my father would have a family friend, Lee Pouncey, take us to the Miracle Strip Amusement Park in Panama City, Florida. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of it or aware of it. But yesterday on YouTube, I found somebody that downloaded some old 8mm footage of their drive through Panama City Beach, lovingly known as the Redneck Riviera, in 1970. And I saw all of the, well, it turns out that old Panama City Beach has a dedicated history YouTube channel. And they were showing pictures and old film footage of all these all the Starliner roller coaster and all that. And oh my God, I went there, and I was probably there at that same point in time. And of course, just the waves of nostalgia are hitting you. Now I went there to go here. This is not about the Miracle Strip Amusement Park, which was magic to a 10-year-old. Lee Pouncey, the guy that took me, my younger brother, and my younger sister down there, and she was probably, Lee was black, and he had three, redheaded white kids with him in tow. It confused the heck out of people in 1970s.
When does Lee get out?
Sadly, he passed. He was one of the most wonderful people I ever knew. One of my dad's closest friends. But anyway, but my little sister always called him Daddy, and she actually is a brunette, a little on the swarthy side. I was too young to realize that when I was 10 years old. But oh boy, did we get some looks. Anyway, but we were young and innocent and had a blast down there. Well, we had to stop at what was sort of like a Kmart, I guess. Now we're talking 1970, 71. I think it was 71. The old gray cells. You look back at your childhood. Well, I don't know about you guys or me. People, what year was that? And I'm like, I'm lucky to get the decade right. Anyway, of course, when we went in, I'm from this little town. Panama City had these bigger places like Kmart that we had to drive all the way over to Tallahassee to go to a place like that, the Woolco. But I go in there, and they've got bicycles up on racks and fishing poles all over. I'm like, wow, look at this place. And I'm like, where are the model airplanes at? And of course, remember it's 1971. It's like, oh yeah, all the models are over there in the back. So I go to the back row, and there's these shelves full of model airplanes. I'm like, oh! And I pull out the 1971 1/72nd scale Revell Lancaster, the Dam Buster model with that Jack Linwood art on it. And I fell in love with the Lancaster in that moment. I can tell you place, time, the lighting, just the moment in history when I fell in love with the Lancaster. Ken, your camera cut out.
Yeah, no, I'm going to eat, and I figured you didn't want to watch.
Thank you. So anyway, you can mute it too if you want, because we don't want to hear. Anyway,
or burping.
Well, that was okay. Anyway, and that made me wonder, and I expect all of you out there in YouTube land to comment on this. Can you tell me or us about a time when a model made you fall in love with something that you hadn't really seen in the real world, or maybe you'd seen it, but it was looking at the box art, looking at the model, that made you fall in love with it? I know it did that for me with the 69 Firebird. My brother, I think it was a Revell or somebody put out a 143 scale one in 69 or 70. I remember he got that. And my brother wasn't the biggest car guy. So when he pulled one out, it meant something. It had the big chrome, front end on it. And in fact, I think I saved that picture. Let me see if I got that picture. But can you tell me about a time that a kit model, looking at a kit model made you go, you just fall in love with something? I'll wait. Could have swore I saved that picture. Oh no, I didn't. Let me run over to skill mates real quick and see if I can find it.
What
I'd
about
say,
Stevens? Do you have anything like that?
I'd say the Revell space station model kit.
There we go.
I think I was like 7 when it came out. When I saw that in the store, I was like, oh,
Ken, it can be an RC.
Ken eats like the raptors in Jurassic Park. Oh, okay.
And no, Ken actually eats very slowly. It's kind of annoying. I'm done and wiping my chin off, and he's just starting to, just getting to his entree. I don't know how you can do that, Ken. Your food's always cold by the time But here it found. No, that's a new box. That's a 2024 release.
Somebody said Richie's Model Garage says 69 Firebird from MPC.
Okay. I remember. Hold on, I know the box. I think it's maybe it's the Revell 132 one.
Also, I think that Revell 106 with all of the ground equipment.
Uh huh.
The Revell, what is it, 102, 106 with the ground equipment.
Oh, the F102, yeah.
Yeah, that when I saw that, I was like, whoa. And I never got that kit.
Very few kids did because it was a whopping $3 back then.
Yeah, it was a lot
we
of
laugh
money
at that
back
today, but what was that, $30 today?
Yeah.
I remember the car was, man, I always have trouble finding that kit. Okay, it might have been this one. Let me, okay, edit, paste. Hold on. Edit, paste, crop, file, save as, Firebird.
I remember when I first saw the Blue Devil, the
The
cruiser.
Destroyer. Mm-hmm.
The Destroyer.
Oh, it's the Destroyer. Yeah, I remember when I
Lindbergh
first
kit.
saw that. Yeah, I can remember the store, and I was with my grandmother. Yeah, I remember everything. I was like looking at that model up in the shelf and going, "Oh,
I want that.
There's
Oh,
a thrift
yeah.
store down here who has one.
Oh,
Yep. And
really?
it's all there.
Ooh.
Okay, Facebook, come on, 209. Here it is. I think this is the kit. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks the Firebird 400 in green.
Garfield, I have that kit.
But that was when I first fell in love with Firebird. It was that box art right there, and it was. And I wasn't even that big of a car kid. But there was some, and I think it was that big chrome boat front bumper. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but I looked at that and I could just see myself in it. Of course, it helped that you could see those on the street, so I could relate to it. And I think that had probably had a lot to do with it.
That's
But
great box art.
it is. It truly is. And I'm going to copy image. And I think this is a Linwood box art here. Let me get this thing downloaded. Edit, paste, resize. Crop, file, save as, link. Okay, I meant to have, sorry guys, I meant to have this downloaded ahead of time. Just got, distracted by God knows what. Squirrel. And this one, I distinctly remember seeing this box art in Panama City, Florida, on the Miracle Strip at some kind of department store, might have been a Kmart or something like that, and just fallen the hell in love with it. And all I remember seeing Dam Buster, and that was, I didn't even call them Lancasters. Any Lancaster for years, I call it a Dam Buster. But all of you guys probably have something out there that you saw as a kid, a kit model, and went, oh yeah, that's, and you fell in love with it because you saw it on a box art. To me, the box art often was the Aurora DH10. Okay, there you go. Revell 144 747. Yep, there you go. You see, they're rolling in. Everybody's got that valuable memory. The Tri-Pacer, absolutely. And we had Tri-Pacers at my airport. James Tyler, some of the monogram Piper Tri-Pacer, which was on an odd scale of like 148 or 143, 141. The Cessna 180 was another one. It had the guy skydiving out of it. Heck, I had that box art up in the Tarbis for a while. And the reason these things are important to us is that there was a connection, and I know I harp on this all the time, and I apologize, but I just really think we kind of grew up in the best time, in a lot of ways. Every time had its downside, but just the other day I was laying in bed getting ready to go to sleep or whatever, and I was just thinking about when I used to ride my bicycle downtown, and you forget about the 95-degree blizzard, Florida heat because you're freaking 8 years old and you're indestructible. You see people stick this old 8mm footage on there, and every one of us, I guess, is probably kind of prone to wax nostalgic about our youth because we were young, everything worked, everything was new, everything was big and shiny, and ironically, we have more. As I've said before, we have more and better kits now. We have more models available right now between what's on the secondary market and what's being produced. We have more, and now 3D printing. You can make anything.
I think I might disagree with you a little bit, Max. I think right now is a really good time to be a modeler for what you just said. We have kits that are really high in fidelity, and yeah, they're a little pricey, but probably proportionally not hugely more than what they used to be back when we were kids. But the cool thing is now we can afford it.
Because we're older and have jobs and money, disposable income. No,
That's
what I was
right.
saying is I think we're in the second golden era of models right now.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
But 3D printing, you guys know I've had my reservations about 3D printing for a lot of reasons, but I'm slowly being converted to believe that, yeah, because, by the way, Ken, you'll be happy to know that now I'm nearing the finish of this Enterprise. The next thing in the queue is the Navajo and the Bugatti.
Yay!
You need to send me a picture how you want that thing painted. But anyway,
Just like the original.
Okay, with the blue, with the red, was it red and white?
Blue.
I
think it's all blue.
It's all blue. Okay, I can do that. That's no problem. I actually already have the paint for it.
What is it, a Bugatti car?
No, it's their airplane.
Oh, the plane.
Ken, you want to tell them about it?
There's 3D printed ones he made for you. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the P100.
Which they hid from the Nazis. And by the time the war was over, it's passé. But it horrifies me, that poor guy that built that replica of one with the Mazda engines. One last flight in the airplane, and the engines quit on him, and he crashed and was killed. And I was like, it's just like John Denver. Let me get in one more quick flight, in this little area. I'm like, dude, that one thing I learned, so many people have been killed on that one more flight or on their Finney flight. It's like, I was on pins and needles on my last flight. My sole function in life was, dear God, don't let anything happen.
Oh, Shepherd's Prayer.
Yeah, dear God, don't let me screw up. And then I thought, we've had good weather. There's Orlando. I could see it. And they gave us the approach. I'm like, there's a thunderstorm, just one cell right on the approach. And I remember looking up at the night sky at God and just going, good one. One Mother Nature gonna get one last bite of the apple. And,
Thanks.
And I was kind of like, yeah, Orlando approach. Yeah, we got a little weather. You mind if I cut to the right? Hey, you got the runway? I got the runway. You're clear the visual. Do what you need to do. Roger that, my brother. And
My brother?
well, I didn't actually say that, but I was thinking.
Oh.
We went around it, and it was a non-event, and we landed. But and as a proper kiss goodbye, it was late at night, so there was no fire trucks with the water hoses to give me my water cannon salute, which I may not have merited since I took the early out. But they made us wait 20 minutes for a gate and sit on the taxiway, and I was like, yep. That's a proper airline. The whole water cannon salute, roll up the gate, and handshakes and cake. No, that's not the proper way to make your last. Your proper way to make your last flight is a 20-minute wait for a gate. And I was like, there will be a time in the future when I will miss this. But you know what? That time ain't right now. Because it was
I
getting
think I know
warm.
why they.
What?
I think I know why they don't do the water cannon salute anymore.
No, they still do them.
Do they really?
Well, we
I
had a
thought
guy
they
just
stopped
got
doing
one
it.
recently.
They didn't do it for you.
No, but what I just said, Ken, I came in late. The ramp was extremely busy. It was nighttime. You know, if you're coming in and you're the only plane moving and it's a bright day and you're the only guy retiring, yeah, you'll probably get one depending on the airport. Some airports don't allow them. But we had a guy get one a while back, and but he's like most guys don't get them anymore.
Well, I saw that one video where they were giving. Remember, I showed it to you where they're giving the guy the water cannon salute, and they shot too low, and they blew in one of the emergency doors, injured a passenger.
Yeah, that's kind of why they don't do that much anymore. It's, but you know, I thought. But then again, I took the early retirement and I was skulking out quietly. But Ken, I was so happy to just. I finished 28 years of flying with no passenger fatalities, no passenger injuries, no bent metal. You know, I mean, take the win.
Just one
Yeah.
scraped up hose.
Yeah, but it didn't actually damage anything except the hose, and that was actually blamed on the ground crew. Although I think they were being generous to me, but I'll take the win. And we had the errant baggage cart that rolled into the airplane, but we were sitting at the gate with the brakes.
Yeah, I remember when that happened.
That was an E-145 at Mesa, yeah. Oh well, but I don't miss it. There are a few things I miss. I miss the people. I miss the sometimes the nice fair weather flying, the beautiful scenery. I did love that. A few of the overnights, being able to hang out with Mike Machat in California, and then the next weekend, a couple of days later, hanging out with you down in West Palm. I do miss our Lauderdale overnights and stuff like that.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
We did, and we had the good sense to know we were having fun. Half the deal is being able to appreciate what you had, and that's another thing. I think when we were young, and we were all building models as kids and everything, I think we appreciated the fact. I think we knew we were having a good time. I think we knew it. Oh, the '70s stagflation, but I don't know. Hindsight. I tell Eduardo, Lou, my son, I like. If there's anything I could do, I would love to take you back to 1969 or 1970 and just spend a week. No internet, no cell phones, cool cars, girls in miniskirts. You could keep a secret back then. If you and Cherry Hill went and did something, in the backwoods, the world didn't know about it. It didn't have a TikTok. You know the Cherry Hill reference, don't you, Steve? Okay.
Definitely bring back the miniskirts. Those were great.
Yeah.
And the halter tops. Don't forget those.
Oh, the halter tops. Yeah. If there's anybody out there who doesn't get the Cherry Hill reference, make a note and we'll tell you the story. Otherwise, I won't waste time with it because I know most of you probably already get it. But it was
Captain of
just.
the Titanic was on his retirement voyage.
What's that?
Stuart Gregory says the captain of the Titanic was on his retirement.
It's true.
And And Ismay had told him, wouldn't it be something if you set the record? So they went full speed ahead. That is a perfect corollary. Captain Smith. And 30 years of uneventful sailing, which kind of maybe was his, kind of what got him, was he'd had 30 years of uneventful sailing. And some kids have awareness of military through war. They do have an awareness, and that's something. My nephew, by the way, just started his terminal leave. He's starting a month the tour of Europe to celebrate. But he's still technically on active duty, but he's on terminal leave. He's already cleared CIF and everything. So we have another veteran in the family. Okay, Paul. Very well. Hey, Paul's in New Zealand, so it's not surprising he hasn't. There's an old joke that
it's an old song.
Well, I'm thinking of the joke.
Oh, okay.
This teacher's taking roll, and a couple of students are missing, and then all of a sudden, late, this little boy comes in, and he goes. The teacher says, "Where have you been?" He goes, "Oh, I've been on top of Cherry Hill." And okay, well, take your seat. And then a few minutes later, another kid comes in. "Where have you been?" "I've been on top of Cherry Hill." And this happens a few times. He's like, God, these people really love hanging out on Cherry Hill. Then this little girl comes in and he goes, "Let me guess, you've been on top of Cherry Hill?" And she goes, "No, I am Cherry Hill." Okay, apparently that joke was not that funny because we all know it. Anyway, so that's the Cherry Hill joke. You still eating, Ken? Ken, are you still eating?
Yes, I'm still eating.
See, I told you ate slow.
Although I did kind of sort of chuckle at the joke, if that makes you feel any better.
It does. Well, guys, I appreciate you telling us and sharing with us the kits that made you fall in love with stuff. There are a couple of things I fell in love with. I fell in love with the Cherokee 180 because, and ironically, that was from a photograph on the Aurora box top. And that is the only model I have ever gotten into the magazine Fine Scale Modeler, was the Aurora Cherokee 180 that I did. It's in the, I think I have that magazine here somewhere, It was October issue, and I forgot what year, 10 years ago or so. And I spent a week building this dinky little Aurora Cherokee using the black decal and everything, the black stripe decal to make the stripes of the wings, because there's no way you're going to airbrush something that fine and do the fine. And I still have it on the shelf today, and it's my only. I've made numerous submissions to Fine Scale Modeler magazine, and that is the only one to ever get into the magazine. I got a bunch of them out on the online gallery from years ago. And at the Nats, I got to meet the chap from FSM. He was taking pictures there and everything. And that was, well, you guys may remember I did the parody of the parody song Fine Scale Modeler. I'm a Fine Scale Modeler. Parody to the Sound of Silence, and that's my great claim to fame. They'll probably bury me with that copy of that magazine. But when I was a kid, looking at those photographs, the Aztec and the Cherokee and everything, it made me want to go out and go flying. And I'm very fortunate. If you're born in America and you liked airplanes, you could go to a local airport and get a ride in an airplane fairly cheap. I can still remember this. Okay, hold on. Before we go any further, I think I should tell you guys that was everything I had for the live stream, was talking about lighting kits. The main thing is be extremely careful, be very delicate, pre-position lights, get them glued in place, and make sure the wiring isn't any more than you need. But that also has to go because we're wiring a small kit. Read the instructions about 3 times thoroughly through, lay everything out, and make sure you're ready to go before you start putting stuff in there. And then have some fun with it.
I love lit model kits. I think it adds just a huge dimension to them.
It does, Ken. Well, let me qualify that. With something like a sci-fi model, it does. Putting headlights and interior lighting in a car, definitely cool. A World War II fighter plane doesn't need it.
Well,
You know,
because they didn't have them anyway.
right, exactly. What I'm getting at is depends on the subject matter. But yes, it absolutely does. Um, but it's an exponential level of difficulty higher to get that. That's like people add parts to the models that move. When does it stop being a display model and start becoming an arcade attraction? If I may be a bit harsh, you know, because some
When you
guys
put-
have stuff moving and everything.
When you put a radio in it like Keeler did.
Go ahead and tell them that. Tell them the story.
Jim was building a car for a model contest, and he was putting lights in it. He wanted to make sure that he won the contest. So he found a very small radio and put it in the trunk of the car, and it ran off a 9-volt battery, and it actually played through a speaker that was in the back seat.
That and the radio lit up and everything when you turn it on. You could turn it on from
the
inside
dashboard,
the
it
on the
lit up.
dashboard. That isn't, you know, if I did not know Keeler, possibly I would call BS on that. But knowing Jim like I do, I absolutely believe that.
But the other thing was he was only like 14 years old when he did it.
Yep. Oh, tell him about the Fisher Price car that his evil stepmother threw away. He didn't tell you that story?
No, I don't
Jim
remember.
was making a car for the Fisher Body contest.
Yeah. I
Go
you
ahead.
said Fisher Price. That
Yeah.
threw me off.
I'm sorry, I said Fisher Price. I meant
Yeah.
Fisher Body.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jim
first,
was-
real
Jim-
quick, tell them what Fisher Body is.
Jim was made. They used to, Fisher Body was the division of General Motors that they made the bodies for the cars. So they had a Fisher Body contest every year, and people would make a car by hand and they'd send it in.
But mind you, they're making this out of a block of wood.
This wasn't like a model kit. This was like you started with a block of wood and you made it and you painted it and you put wheels on it.
You designed it yourself. They wanted to.
Yep.
They were
You-
early crowdsourcing.
You put the interior in. A lot of them had bubble tops, and they were gorgeous designs. And so Jim was working on this car for like 9 months. And one day he came home and all his stuff was gone because his mother said, I went into your room and you had all this crap and I just threw it all out.
Ow.
And then I would have said, but Your Honor, she threw my stuff out. That would have been, I had to kill her, As a matter of fact, the first car that won the Fisher Body Guild competition is in the National Car Model Kit Museum that was in Salt Lake and now is moving to Oklahoma City.
And a lot of, although they weren't there when I went there, when Mike and I went there, a lot of those cars are on display at the Peterson Museum, but they temporarily moved them in the back room or whatever to make room for something else. It's sad. That was the one thing I really wanted to see when I went there. And
well, there's a book about it, and they show all the cars that were, winners.
I have it. Yeah, it was sent to me, and it's amazing designs. TD was one of the judges one year.
Yeah, he was.
And he told me about it. He said, Max, it took 3 days. And he basically, paraphrasing what he said, it was one of the most miserable times of my life because I walk in and there's 2,000 submissions.
Oh, yeah. Well, Keeler tells a story when he was at Revell, and they had a Revell model contest. And they partnered with Patra, the paint company. And he said one day they come into his office and said, you got to come down here and see this. They had the whole warehouse filled with boxes that were submissions that people sent in. He said there must have been 10,000 kits.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, and we had to open them all up and, judge them and, take pictures and then put them back in the box because we wanted to send them back to these people. He said it was a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that was how big the hobby was that you back then that you
What
got
year was
that
that?
kind of that was like in the mid-60s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Keeler,
64.
Keeler, Jim, you guys know Jim Keeler if you watch his channel. I've had Zoom sessions with him, and I'm lucky I got to meet him down in Orlando a while back and talk with him in person. In fact, we did it from the car because we were locked out of his condo, out of his rental condo. But but the thing is that we're sitting in my car like, well, Jim, you want to record something while we're here? I mean, I got one-on-one time with this guy, and it was just an unexpected treasure. And what is Jim now? 80 something?
He's like 84, 85.
And TD just turned 87.
Yeah.
And I did that
I
song.
mean, these guys are on the short end of the bell curve, and when they're gone, I mean,
That's the end of an era.
they're legends. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
Not
I
to be
mean,
too dark about it, but we ain't that far behind them, you know.
well, that's true. I try not to think of that, but
So
yeah.
do I.
You know, Jim knew Craig Breedlove.
He
You know,
worked
who-
with him, and TD
Yeah, he did.
and TD was neck and neck. It was a business partner with Gary Gabelich, and if you don't know
Yes.
who Gary was, he was one of the land speed record holders. You want to tell them about some of the stuff Gary did?
Well, Gary was a motorcycle racer, and then he got together and built this car called the Blue Flame, and it was powered by liquid natural gas, and he set the land speed record at like over 600 miles an hour with it.
And he gets killed in regular LA traffic,
Yeah,
and
just
riding
in a
his Harley,
regular
just in a
car
regular
accident.
motorcycle accident. He's
Just
driving
got
down,
killed.
a truck pulls out in front of him, and the man goes
Boom.
600 miles an hour in a rocket car without a scratch and gets killed in LA traffic.
Well, you know, so nobody's
No.
ever really built a good model of Breedlove's second car, which was the Sonic One, which is the big blue car with the white stripe down
Well,
the
and
thing.
Keeler working on that?
Well, so Jim decided one day to just get a block of wood and carved one and painted it and cut a hole in the roof and put in ducting and put in fans.
Mind you,
and
he started with a block
Block
of
of wood.
wood.
block of wood. And he put, you know, an exhaust nozzle with fins, and you know, I mean, it's unbelievable. And he painted it, and he's waiting for somebody to do the decals for him. He's going to have decals made for it, and then he's going to 3D scan it, and he's going to print resin ones. And I told him, he says, "Yeah, I know, you'll get the first one." But he built this by hand. As a matter of fact, let me see if I have if I send you a picture, can you put it up? Because I have a picture of it. Hello?
Yeah, Roy. I was reading Roy's comment. After my dad passed, my brother said that we aren't on deck anymore. We're at bat. I'm like,
There you go.
You know, he's not wrong. My personal doctor, who I love dearly, and the worst part is he's my age. Just is in the advanced stages of a degenerative disease, and my brother-in-law, who's younger than I am now, a couple of years ago passed. My sister's a widow. It's that, and I still love Big Macs. I'm sorry, I'm skidding into the grave with a chocolate shake in one hand and a Big Mac in the other. We're not gonna dodge it. I'm leaning into it. When I look at myself, I'm 350 freaking pounds. I mean, I don't smoke, you know, and I hardly ever drink. In fact, this is my one night of the week I let myself, you know, cut loose a little bit. So not all bad, but every day's a gift, man. Every kit model I build, I actually sometimes go to the TARDIS, and I think to myself, you know, how lucky I am. I have a shed dedicated to model building. I got a YouTube channel that for some mysterious reason people tune into. And I couldn't be happier. So I just wanted to go as long as it can. I want you guys to enjoy the trip with me. I've met a bunch of glue troopers, and they're all wonderful people. You know, I've gotten to know TD and Jim and some of the remaining luminaries of the kit model at its height. Before I go all Moby on you guys, it's 8:30. We normally run till 9, but I've covered all the material that you know, I had set for tonight. So I think officially the Max's Models live stream is now over, and now we're into the after show where we can just talk about
start to have fun.
Yeah. So now we can talk about anything that's not political or topical in the news. You know, people come here to escape stuff like that. So, what would you guys like to talk about? And I'm talking to both you two and all the glue troopers out there. I was noticing our numbers are really down. We're only at 89 watching, where we used to have 150. But you know what? That's whatever. You know, as long as you guys are having a little bit of fun. I know a few of the glue troopers out of town. And by the way, guys, real quick note. If you can't make the live stream, I appreciate the emails, but you don't have to tell me. We don't take roll call here. Some of the folks are feeling, oh, I can't make the live stream. Like they had to don't apologize. I realize you guys have lives. So now, boom, chicka, wow, wow, it's Max's Models After Hours.
Oh, please don't do air guitars.
Okay. Boom, chicka, wow, wow, it's now Max's Models After Hours. So, Ken, I know you're dying to talk more about your boat.
What, me?
Yeah, you. You have a
Hold
boat.
Hold
You go
on,
into the
before
boat.
we get into that, Steve.
Oh, that was a tease.
I'm bad that way. Steve,
Yes.
update on the Imperial.
Oh, yes, please do.
I got the window door handles finally came finished. I got them in, got them hooked up. The doors work.
That's a 58?
57.
57. 57
And-
Imperial Steve has there.
And I'm putting the windows in. Then the heater will go in, and then the air conditioner will go in, and then the wiring harness will go in, and it's going to be sent out because I'm not doing the brake lines, and the brake lines will be done. And then once I figure out how to get the dashboard back together, then it'll be all hooked up and it'll be drivable, and then it's just trim. So who knows? It's looking positive after all these years.
But progress is being made, correct?
Yes, yeah, because otherwise, like my wife said, you'll come home one day and not find it in the garage. And
Why
I
is
said
it
to her,
still there?
and I said to her, well, then wherever you send it, you'll be buried along with it.
I've met your wife. I would not take those comments lightly.
Mm,
I'm pretty sure she means what she says and says what she means.
yeah, well, I just want to, I would, my motivation for finishing it is that I want to be able to drive it again before I'm dead.
I didn't want to go there, but I was kind of thinking, you going to get this thing done while you're still in this mortal coil?
I want to drive it again before I'm dead. I mean,
How is Casey doing? Steve's new dog is Casey.
she's doing real good. She's
Is she daddy
she's
dog
fitting
or
in
mommy
well.
dog?
Excuse me?
Is she daddy's dog or mommy's dog?
No, she's daddy's dog.
Oh, okay.
She's with me.
We're
all the
having
time.
we're having a little issue here with Honey.
Uh-oh.
Apparently, now that I have retired and I'm home all the time, my wife and I we don't have a TV in the common areas like the living room or anything. We believe that when people come to visit, they should visit and not have a TV to distract them. So our big screen TV is in the bedroom. So we watch TV in the bedroom. My wife usually sits in the bed. I sit in my big luxury automatic reclining chair. And about the past 5-6 weeks, Honey is coming and just sitting on the arm of the chair and meows until I just start stroking her like a Bond villain.
Uh-oh.
And Mommy ain't real happy about that. What is this? And apparently somebody has become Honey's favorite.
Uh-oh.
This is a tectonic shift in the template, around here. So I don't know how that happened, but anyway.
Take the win.
Yeah,
Rich
I'm the
Not
one that's
Wealthy.
getting tennis elbow petting the cat.
Rich Not Wealthy said that after Ken's story of his phone going for a swim, I looked up floating phone holders. They do exist.
Get one. You need one. That way you can recover the carcass of your phone when it goes in the water again. Unless they're watertight. All right, Ken. Now you have the token for the boat.
Well, I already told my boat story.
Oh, that was it? Okay.
I was very pleased with myself that I solved several problems today and got everything that I tried to fix, I got it fixed.
Well, you see, that's what owning a boat is. It's problem solving.
Yes, and on the way home, I told my wife. She said, "It makes me nervous whenever something's broken." I said, "On a boat, there's always something broken." It's just too
Just-
many pieces.
Just be glad it's not out at sea.
Yeah, well, I won't
You
do that
do
until
have
I'm
Tow
pretty sure.
USA or Tow, was it Boat USA or Tow USA or
There's Towboat and Boat USA.
you got one of them, right?
Yes, yes, and boy, am I glad I did too.
Yeah,
I'd still be floating.
it's a must.
From Aberrant Ideas, a question, Max. What is your holy grail model that you would go way out of your way to do a first class build on? Also have in the original box. That there's a few of them. One is although the ITC Atlas missile, it is a model, but it's almost more of a toy.
Did you get what I sent you? From
I
eBay?
got it. I am not
Okay.
dropping $900 on that thing.
I'm
I
just-
like being married. The Hawk Beta 1, and I have one right back here in the stack, and it's original. I was going to build it, and the Glue Troopers went absolutely ape. So the Hawk Beta 1 would definitely be on that list there. I'll get here. It was a proposed nuclear missile, or excuse me, nuclear powered bomber, and this is definitely one that and everybody said what I need to do is get the not Anagram, Fantastic Plastic one, build that, and then leave this one in the box. This is most of the models I have back here, the old Aurora kits and Hawk kits and everything. They're all 60, 70 years old. They're kind of on the not to be built list. That's why I put them back there. I would say they're set dressing, but you can't hardly see them. But I got a lot of old Aurora stuff, some of which I got at the Nationals. Some Revell, a Strombecker, a couple of monograms, and I got that car, that motorized. It's the El Camino thing. It was Steve that told me not to build this one because it's just too valuable. Plus, it's before they had side slides, so it's got the separate sides. You remember this one, Steve? The Revell
Yep.
Ford Ranchero.
Ranchero.
And it's got the motor and everything in there, and it's all there. Everything. This kit is complete. These are all gifts from Glue Troopers, by the way, and a few others. Some of them aren't so. There were some that I was gonna build, like the Valkyrie from Lindbergh, but I was like, there's so many Valkyrie models I could build, and that one is vintage. So, plus, quite frankly, guys, I got a 30-foot shed over here and an entire living room over there, and I'm running out of places to put models when I build them.
Meanwhile, go to your emails. I just sent you something I think you'll be interested in showing.
Okay, let me go to the mail. Blah, 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 blah. Click, click, click. Boom, boom. Come on. Chug, boom, chug, boom, chug. Here we go. Okay. Save image.
What's a Russian PEM scope? Brian Tate just said that.
I'm not sure what we're talking about here.
I'm not sure either. He said, I just dropped $1,000 on a Russian PEM scope, but I have a hard time dropping over $100 on any model. Hate that about myself.
I'm assuming it's a scope of some sort.
Or a rifle, probably.
That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Image.
That's as far as scopes go, that's kind of not that terribly expensive.
Okay, guys, here is the blank that Jim made for the
Spirit of America
Spirit of
Sonic
America.
1.
Sonic 1. That is from a block
Oh.
of wood.
It's a 1937 Russian sniper scope.
Oh, cool. Probably what Vasily Zaitsev was using to pop Nazis with during Stalingrad.
Well, those are the ones that are like 2 or 3 feet long because they didn't have the lenses for the color correction.
Could be. I'm out of cough medicine. You guys talk. I'm going to run refill my cough medicine.
Well, the picture you're probably seeing is of a gray model of the Spirit of America Sonic 1 that Jim Keeler carved out of a block of wood by hand. Now, I sent Max another picture, but he'll have to put it up after he returns from refilling his beverage. But Jim is currently in the process. The next picture will show you it painted. Jim's currently in the process of having decals made for it. And once he has it done, he's going to have it 3D scanned, and he will be 3D printing them. It's a fairly large kit. I would say it's probably about 8th or 12th scale. Pretty big, but it is absolutely fantastic for something that somebody made by hand.
Has he painted it yet?
Yes, I sent Max 2 pictures.
Oh, okay.
This one, and then there's a picture of him holding the painted one, which he hasn't put up yet, but when he comes back, he'll put it up. But I was absolutely flabbergasted when he sent me the pictures, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, this thing just looks absolutely... If you see on the front of it, there's an intake scoop. Well, he made the intake scoop out of dental, what was it? Dental, like, putty that they make teeth out of. And inside, if you look in it, there's the turbine intake for the engine. And out the back, he's got the, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. He made the wheels. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, Brian,
That's
wood.
That's wood.
A block of wood.
A block of wood. Show him the picture of it painted.
Oh, let me go get it. You sent that to me, right?
Yeah, I sent you 2 pictures in one
Oh.
email.
Oh, there it is. I didn't see that one. Okay. Okay. Save images. Chug. Oh, come on. Okay, let me. Okay. Plus image. There it is. Okay,
Oh.
there's Jim holding the painted one.
Edward Bender's going to be in Clearwater in about a month.
Hmm.
Any advice about Florida?
We're all
Bring
armed,
sunscreen?
so be nice to everybody.
Bring sunscreen?
Bring sunscreen, absolutely. The best time to go to the beach is early in the morning before the sun comes up. It's also nice in the evenings, but that's when the sharks feed.
And the alligators are there early.
Well, not at the beach. Alligators in the swamps. Although I wouldn't walk too close to any drainage ditches or any body of water more than 4 feet in diameter. That does tend to be where they hang out.
Yep. And there it is painted.
And Jim does nice work, man. He's very meticulous.
He's amazing. I mean, he's still working on that trumpeter Titanic.
What is that, like $500 kit?
Yeah, and it's like about 4.5 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
Thing's enormous.
Did you
As a
say he
matter of
was
fact,
lighting it?
yes, he
Yeah,
put a
he's
light
lighting
in
it and everything. I was
every-
Go ahead.
He put a light in every cabin.
By the way, Ken, that brings up something I wanted to ask you about. I have some of these kits came with these strip LEDs. The paper strips got all the little LEDs on it. And
Yeah.
I was going to hook. I thought I might use it in this thing, but then I realized when I tested it, it didn't work. Apparently, it's a 12-volt system. So it says 12 volts on it. So
Okay.
what is 12 volts? Not household current. What do you use for a 12 volt?
Car battery? Boat battery?
Yeah, I'm not putting a boat battery in
Boat
my living
battery
room
in
so
the
I can
kit.
light up the
You probably have to put a couple of batteries in series. Like 9 volts or something.
Well, I don't have a picture of them, but you guys
That
are probably
looks
familiar with
fun.
those LED strips, right? You know,
Mhm.
and that's what this is. So so I guess I got to line up 12 volts worth of batteries, but the paper has 4 little basic flat copper areas on the corners,
Mhm.
and 2 of them are marked positive and 2 are marked negative. So it's a little confusing how I'm supposed to power this thing.
Are the multicolored LEDs on there, or just
I think they're just little tiny white LEDs, I believe.
But
But it's like
if
a
they're
strip, like a long unroll it.
yeah?
but they're not rechargeable and hooked up to a rechargeable source.
No. It's just a strip of lights. They're the kind
Okay.
you buy in the plastic box, and it comes. Some of
Yeah.
them say warm, some of them say bright. And it's just they're for lighting the inside of shelves or whatever else you want.
Well, if you had a battery box and you put a couple of double A's in there, you should be able to power it.
But it says 12 volt.
Yeah, well, you put a couple of batteries in it, and it should be able to do
Well,
it.
a double A is what, 1.5 volts?
Yeah, so if you
You'll
got
need 9 batteries,
9 batteries,
Okay.
or just get a little 12-volt power supply, plug into the wall. Little
Well,
wall
I think
mount.
that's what they're intended for. But it has a positive and a negative on each end, and I'm kind of like, okay, where do I hook this up? Or is this
Well, that's
for,
so you can string them together.
okay? So in other words, the string itself isn't already strung together. I got to put a pathway between each one.
No. No. The LEDs are all hooked up together on that one piece of tape. If you wanted to get a different piece of tape and hook that up to it as well, then you would use the ones on the other end.
Okay, all right. So,
So you can stick them in series.
so I need okay. So how much these little power? Well, we'll have to look them up. 12-volt power supplies. Okay.
what you should do is go on Amazon, and they sell reels of the strips,
Mm-hmm. That's
they
what I've
have
got. Is a real
Okay.
strip.
and they have a rechargeable battery pack that powers the lights, and they plug in. They have a jack on the end of it,
Okay.
and then you plug it in, and then that will light it, and then you'll have to recharge it when it runs out of power.
Okay. And there are some, like you say, you just plug in, it just runs to 12 volts.
Mhm.
And okay, so that this is all part of lighting kit for that big Jupiter, that gigantic Jupiter 2, and that thing's got 40 odd LEDs, and it comes with a bucket. I hope there's some instructions in there.
Well, if not, you'll figure it out. I mean, that's the joy of modeling. We have a thing in the master bathroom, and there's a strip of LEDs that go under the edge of the cabinets, and there's a little box with a sensor on it. It's a motion sensor. So when you enter the room, like in darkness, it turns on the lights and it lights up the floor. So you don't kill yourself when you're trying to take a leak in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And then it eventually gets dimmer, and you take it out and you plug it into a charger, and it charges the box back up, and you plug it back in, and it works. So that's like $12 on Amazon.
Okay.
It's not like a big amount of money.
Ken Brian Tate says, Max, remember E equals I over R. Does it sound like anything you're familiar with?
Yeah, that's voltage equals current over resistance.
Okay.
Current divided by resistance.
I thought it was error equals idiocy and repetitive.
Take care, Herman. Glad you come out and spend some time with us.
Take care, Herman.
I also need to start working with that flocker that I just got. I'm excited to start doing some work with that. And I bought some that was a PVA glue or something. So I may get to that tomorrow.
Bowl lighting with they make things that go in toilet bowls that light up when it detects motion. We have
Oh, please, Ken. I light up toilet bowls every time I go.
No, I don't mean
that's so you can
the
see the
light.
snake if it's in there.
Yeah,
Did you see the guy who sat on the bowl to go to the bathroom, and there was a python that came up and bit him in the nuts?
in Florida we call that Wednesday.
No. I would never go to the bathroom again.
The future of medicine is the movie Coma. which, if
Yeah,
I'm not
there you go.
mistaken, is Tom Selleck's first acting role. He was one of the suspended bodies.
No, I'm serious. It's like
I
they sell
just
them.
discovered
Oh,
that Diet Green Tea and Everclear go together well. I drink a lot of Diet Green Tea, but
Landing lights on toilet bowls.
Yeah, you can
that's what
set
I've been missing.
you can set them to any color you want, or they change. They'll sit there and just change color over and over again. They're like $5.
That
mean,
reminds
like-
me of that reminds me of a Joan Rivers joke.
Like that sign behind me. Uh
She had a friend of hers, Heidi Bromwich. She goes, she was such a whore, she had landing lights up her thighs.
huh. I actually saw a picture of some pilot, and I would do this in a heartbeat, but my wife would never let me. But he actually had like runway lights and approach lights on his driveway.
Max could light up the Tarbis now. There you go.
Like taxi lights going up to the
There you go. Ken, the construction guys will be out there digging it up tomorrow.
But,
Yeah, just put blue lights out there, Max.
yeah, I'll do a video on the static grass when I get around to it. I mean, I sent a link in that last video I did about the flocker. I put a link to one of the Blue Troopers who actually has done some videos on it. And the main thing I took away from him was he had a lot of the same stuff everybody has when using a flocker, but he included something that I had not been told. Apparently, if you hit that button and run the batteries without it being grounded, it can fry the innards because it needs to be grounded for it to do its job. And you can smoke that thing if you are pushing the button and it's not grounded to anything.
What needs to be grounded?
The flocker for static electricity generator.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Patty
Weren't you gonna do a thing where everybody was supposed to show their first model kit they built?
That's on the group build down the road.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Right now, everybody's still working on the Tamiya builds. I'm going to get my apology out early. I'm trying to keep everything organized. It's possible someone sends me a Tamiya build. I might stick it in the viewer's build by mistake. I'm looking real carefully to make sure it says Tamiya. I just got a nice one today, and I don't want to screw that up. But yeah, that's due at the end of this month, so you guys still have 17, 18 days left. 17 days is a 30-day month. And at the end of the month, I'll put it together. Enjoy a video watching grass grow. Well, you put it that way.
Pretty much that's it.
Well, anyway, we're down to the last few minutes. If anybody's got anything, I have a bunch of stuff on my social calendar in the coming months, so there will be some downtime for the channel in the future. But I do hope to get down and build that boat on Ken's boat, and that'll be a live stream, but or do a live stream from Ken's boat, and
That would be fun.
and Ken can fix the real boat while I'm fixing the model. And there's really
Fair
no-
trade.
Hmm? What?
Fair trade.
But not a whole lot else going on here, and pretty much just building models and making videos and enjoying retirement. It's funny though. It's good that I'm doing this, that there are Blue Troopers out there and I have the channel, because a lot of guys, they get on retirement and they just wind up not doing anything, and it's kind of a forced error, if you will. They kind of lose their purpose. This channel gives me a real purpose, so it keeps me doing things and staying active and not.
Mike Granger says, "Be careful. Static grass is a gateway drug to model railroad."
Yes, Brian, my daily driver is a Jeep Grand Cherokee
It's a nice one too.
because it gets it done.
Although I hear people complaining about Stellantis left and right.
Luckily, I don't have any issues, so I don't, have any reason to deal with them. But yeah, I do hear a lot of that too.
I built that P38J from Tamiya. I got it in Rex Barber's markings in Miss Virginia. That's a good kit. Ken can make a 3D model print of his boat. Ken, there you go.
I would love to. I have looked for the files, but there's nothing even close. I wish there was. It'd be really cool to have one.
You're accountable to the troopers, Max. Yeah.
There you go.
I dare not disappoint the masses. They'll abandon me. You know, we're lucky. We all get a chance to get together and just have a BS session for a couple hours.
And talk about Godzilla.
Yeah. Well, you know, what's popular is popular. I tell you what, there are some things that have just endured. Zombies, Godzilla, King Kong, Dracula, or vampires. You know, they've never, lichens, they've never really gotten old. But you know, even The Mummy had a resurgence with Brendan Fraser. So, yeah. But again, at the risk of being the old man, you know, I do kind of miss plopping down, you know, Sunday afternoon and seeing a rerun of some 1950s monster flick, and sometimes the cheesier the better. I don't know. I want so bad to make some cheesy AIP style movie. I got it all figured out. All it needs a few $1 million and, you know, the okay from Apple Plus or whoever wants to run it. But because I tell you what, you turn on the YouTube and start looking at the movies, and there's a lot of guys I like to listen to, like Midnight's Edge and Critical Drinker, who it gets a little negative after a while, but I can't disagree with what they're saying. You know, it's like they've forgotten how to make entertaining movies. You know,
Go on Tubi. They got a lot of great movies.
Yeah, they do.
Sci-fi horror movies from the 50s.
Yeah. But
And on what is it? Pluto, they have the Universal Monsters channel. So they play all the old Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula
yeah,
movies.
I'm more aimed at the sci-fi, but those things are still great. I still think The Day the Earth Stood Still, the 53 War of the Worlds, 54 Godzilla, those movies are just kind of Forbidden Planet. Everybody, I just saw a thing on why they haven't remade Forbidden Planet, and apparently some big names have gotten onto it. I'm not sure it's a movie that needs to be remade.
No, I don't think it does.
All I beg them is, if you do remake Forbidden Planet, stay with the same plot, stay with the same character. Don't start swapping crap around. You know, just better special effects, more modern looking uniforms. But outside of that, you had a winner. You know?
The crowd says Max Styrene Theater 3000?
That's right.
I
we should
want to be the host of one of those.
we should put
Google
up
shows.
movies from the 50s and have the three of us just do the commentary.
You know what? Maybe we'll do that here on the channel. Well, the problem is we don't have the rights to any of the movies. So unless
Well,
in the
you
public,
just get ones that the copyrights are expired. There's plenty of them.
you know, and we can just do little silhouettes of Yumi and Kenmai, and just we'll watch the movie, make our snarky comments, and then just air it all in real time.
Meanwhile, I remember watching back in like '94 when Mystery Science Theater was sort of a thing, and we didn't have any access to it on our cable channel.
Mm-hmm.
And we went away for vacation, and we get in the hotel, and let's see, my son had to be like 11. And we get in the hotel, and we turn the TV on, and they got Mystery Science Theater 3000 on. Well, my wife was furious. She couldn't get us out of the room. I mean, we didn't want to leave. We just know we want to watch this, right? So they had The Bride of the Gorilla. Remember the one with Bela Lugosi? Okay. So they're at the scene where the two guys are going out to the house he lives in, which is out in the swamp,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts raining. And they show you a shot of the front wheel of the car as it's turning, and you hear them say, and Senator Kennedy's car approaches the bridge. Let me tell you, I fell off the bed. I thought that was hysterical.
Oh, Chappaquiddick, baby. Chappaquiddick dip. What does he said? If Ted Kennedy had been driving a Volkswagen, he'd be president
He'd
today.
be president today.
There's several references there that anybody under 40 hadn't got a prayer of catching, probably. But yeah, that's true. And I don't know. It's sometimes my wife and I play a little game or drive along in the car. Just if we're going to make this movie, who would we cast? And I don't know who you'd cast to do Forbidden Planet, because that era had a lot of elegant actors like Walter Pidgeon, and
Wouldn't be Tom Cruise.
no, you need someone who exudes elegance and intellectualism. I'm not really. I'd have to think about that for a while.
You know what's funny about Mystery Science Theater 3000? When I was a teenager growing up, you would go to the movies on Saturday because they'd have Saturday movies, and it would always be like monster movies or sci-fi movies. And the movie would be packed, and that's what went on in the movie. People would just yell things out at the screen that were hysterical, okay? It was, and I mean, that brings it back to when I was, like 11, 12 years old. I mean,
I know who I would cast as Mobius in a remake of Forbidden Planet.
Anthony Hopkins.
Well, he would do well, but I was thinking Gary Oldman.
Oh, yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
Gary Oldman could play anything.
Frank Field made a great comment. He said, the first time I saw MST3K, my wife said, this is like going to the movies with you.
Yeah.
The first one I saw, I think, was This Island Earth, and it was hilarious. But my favorite one-liner from those wise asses was when they did Giant or Deadly Menace, and it shows the jets taking off in pairs. The pilot gives the signal to pull pull chocks, and he goes, "Hail Ming!" But when they take off, they're taking off in pairs. He goes, "Oh, look, the new codependent Air Force."
They were funny. They, I mean, they're on Pluto.
Yeah.
They have their own channel, and then they have riff tracks, which are the guys who left there and started another channel. I mean, they're just hysterical. Some of the stuff they come up with is just hilarious.
Makes watching those crappy, poorly made movies entertaining.
Well, a lot of them had low production. I tried to get my wife to watch The Outer Limits, and we watched one of my favorites, The Demon with the Glass Hand.
Yep.
With Arlene Martell, still one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood, and she's up there with was it Luciana Paluzzi and Raquel Welch. But anyway, hey, I remember her name for once, Steve.
There you go. That's a good thing.
But
I watched a movie the other night, and she was in it, and I'm like, "Is that her?" It was like an Italian like horror movie, and I'm like, "Is that her?" No. And so I had to go to IMDb, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's her."
Yeah, but she watched The Demon with the Glass Hand, and she was just like, my wife loves all the modern special effects and everything. She can't get behind these old cheaply made television budget films, causes low production values. And I'm like, but it's the writing. This is a Harlan Ellison plot and everything. And she's like, sorry. Well, the next day I asked her, I said, what if we did a prequel, a real movie that was a prequel to The Demon with the Glass Hand, about how all the people got, their essence recorded and sent to the past? And she thought about it, and she goes, that actually could be a good movie. I said, so now you get it. These are great scripts. They were just limited by the technology and the budgets and everything. And,
I met Robert Culp at a chiller theater, and I got to talk to him. He was a great guy, and I happened to mention, we discussed him, and he just didn't get why it was so popular. And I said, it was a great story. I said, and you played a great character. I said, but.
Well,
yeah,
I saw him in an episode of, I forget which show it was. It wasn't Greatest American Hero, but it was Remington Steele or one of them. And he had this weird little automatic he was carrying. And it turned out, I think he was actually a gun collector. And that was some modified Smith & Wesson automatic that was out of his own collection or something like that. And it turned out a lot of these actors, they're very quiet about it, but gun buffs and everything, and would sometimes carry their own guns in movies and things because they style, class, and everything. But you're not going to believe who one of the biggest gun collectors in Hollywood was. You'd never get Buddy Hackett.
Oh, yeah.
He had a
Okay.
Gatling gun.
Jesus.
He just liked to go to the range and make noise. And I found a photograph of him holding a big Smith 29 44 Magnum. He loved to go to the range and blast away.
Well, we are way past 9 o'clock.
I agree, Aberrant. Gary Oldman's been great in everything he's played. Sometimes the characters weren't great, they were not that, but he made the best of it. One of his most colorful characters, my wife and I quote on occasion, is from The Fifth Element, and she'll look at me and go, "You're a monster, Zorg," and it's like, I know. Well, guys, that's it for tonight. I'm gonna shut everything down. Dinner's waiting on me. Ken, Steve, I appreciate you guys coming out and keeping me company and doing all this. I'm gonna just.
Somebody's got to keep you straight.
Yeah, well, good luck on that one. I'm gonna loop the outro for a little while so you guys can chat with each other. But I'll let you guys say your night and we're out of here. Say your good nights and we're out of here.
Good night, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope it was enjoyable for you, and we look forward to doing it again next week and seeing you then. So have a good week.
Thanks for coming to join us, guys. Next week, I'll have a riveting boat story for everybody so they can sit on the edge of their seats and anticipate my great storytelling.
Guys, thanks for coming out. We'll talk to you later. As always, model on.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
Night, guys. Night, John Boy.